but a noisy minority who are prepared to do anything to recover certain privileges which they consider historic. Pretoria is the administrative capital of South Africa and the symbolic heart of the Afrikaner movement. From here, the rich deposits of gold and diamonds that justified colonization are controlled. And here is where the white oligarchs who designed the system of apartheid settled.
We wish to develop an area for Afrikaners in cooperation with the government of South Africa, that development for the blacks will be on the other side of the river, but we cannot allow a new influx of thousands of blacks in this area. Then we change it back to the old South Africa. And therefore we prefer to develop this as an Afrikaner land.
And on the other hand, what we never should forget, they stand on their platforms, they shouting, "Kille boer, kille farmer."
Will we use arms? Will we resort to an armed struggle? Of course.
Each one of the Central European peasant families that arrived on the South African coast in the 17th century brought with them two indispensable objects, a rifle and a Bible. The Bible is still a fixture on the bedside table of the descendants of those Boer pioneers. The New Testament is, in Orania, something more than a holy book. It is the guide that determines the duties and principles of its citizens.
We give a very high priority to education because your quality, the quality of your work, the quality of your input in South Africa and in the rest of Africa and in our own work for self-determination depends on what we know.
Each year, on the 10th of October, the community celebrates the anniversary of President Kruger's death. Each member prepares his or own choreography and song.
And I just think that perhaps Afrikaners as a minority group feel that perhaps, they feel that they want to be free, they want to establish their own country where they are a majority and where they can establish their own policy and handle crime their own way.
Binding as a nation, we're starting from scratch and building a nation amongst our own. We're not, we sort of get rid of all the previous things that went wrong in the country. I'm sticking with you, 'cause I'm made out of glue.
Enige ding saam doen.
Orania is for us young people a safe place where there's no crime. Apartheid started out well, but it ended badly. It's not the fault of us young people. We only want to promote our culture and our religion.
You can look at any other country in this world. No two cultures can mix together and come together as one.
My dream for the future is to become a fighter pilot. Probably be a mercenary or something.
as Afrikaners, we want to have the first prize. We want to have a country which Afrikaans, our language, is the prime language.
The future of South Africa, that's a hard one. I mean, so many things changed over the past few years. It's unpredictable. Can't say what's going to happen. So you just sit back and wait for it.
The missionaries were, together with explorers and traders, the first white men to venture into the interior of the African continent. And there they still are, each year older and less numerous. In recent decades, with the proliferation of NGOs, another figure has arisen which does not replace the missionaries, but complements them, that of the cooperator. He or she is generally a young Westerner between the ages of 20 and 35, with a university education and high ideals. Olga Thaola was born in France and grew up in Gabon and Spain. She later returned to Africa to take part in a cooperation project.
I grew up here, well, not here in Gabon, in another country. I visited other countries in Africa and was educated in Europe. I suppose that in some way Africa was always on my mind, or I always had a memory of my childhood. And that's what drove me to return. Yardeme is an association that takes in single mothers, that takes charge of educating them. It's not a purely charitable organization in that we don't just try to help and that's that, but we educate women so that they, once outside the association, can be self-sufficient, have a profession, earn money, learn something about health, education, with a view to educating those children without a father or whose fathers don't take care of them.
What I had imagined of Africa, and it wasn't until I came here that I realised I had this picture, but it was very much one of the place and the geography and not of the people. And to some extent, after being in Uganda for a year and a half, when I think of Africa now, I think of the people and not the geography.
I came to Africa because I think I'd always had the interest since I was a child. My grandfather was from Sierra Leone and he trained as a doctor in Scotland. So as a child, they spent most of their working life in West Africa. Got all these interesting letters about what they were doing and the wildlife and just the adventures that my grandmother, who was Scottish, was having. So
I just thought it would be a very underdeveloped country with, very little means. I didn't expect the sort of triumph and happiness there is in the country. I didn't expect that. I mean, that really enlightened what I thought of the country, because it's amazing. They've got so much spirit and so much community spirit as well.